In this video, we're going to be talking about slope. And slope refers to how steep something is. So whether you're talking about a mountain, whether you're talking about a road, whether you're talking about a set of stairs in a house or whatever, it's how steep it is. So the higher that is, the more steep it is, and the flatter it is, then the less steep it is. And the way we sort of do that is we compare that vertical change. How much is it rising up and down versus that horizontal change? How much is it running, to the left and to the right? So you may have heard the terms rise over run many times when you were in high school. And so just know that the rise refers to that vertical change, how much it's changing up and down, versus over the run, how much is it changing to the left and to the right. And that sort of gives us our slope. And so when we talk about the slope formula, usually we're given 2 points on the line and we're told to come up with it. And so that formula is m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And all we're doing is, looking at the change in our vertical rise. So we're taking our two y values and we're seeing the difference in them over the difference in those two x values. So then we're taking the x values on the bottom and we're seeing what that difference is. And so every ordered pair, as you know, is an xy value. And so we're just going to use those when we're coming up with our slope. And we label them x1 and y1 and x2, y2, just to distinguish between, well, this is the first ordered pair that I've been given, and this is the second ordered pair that I've been given. And so we're going to name them, those, just so that we keep them straight. But before we go on, our joke of the day. So I really just don't trust people with graph paper. They are always plotting something. So we're going to do a couple of examples now. We're going to find the slope of the line that goes through these two pairs of points. So we're given one ordered pair, -3, 4. And remember, this is just the first ordered pair that we're given, so we're just going to label it as x1 and y1, because every ordered pair is an xy value. Our next ordered pair that we're given is -4, -2. So we're just going to label that one x2 and y2, because that is just the second ordered pair that we're given. So that's why we label them the ones and the twos. So now we're just going to fill out our formula. We're going to say m is equal to y2. Well, y2 is this -2. And our formula is minus. So make sure you put that minus in there and make sure we never drop a minus sign. So y1, 4. And then we're going to start on the bottom. So if we use this particular y2 for the beginning of the formula on the top, we've got to use this x2 for the beginning of the formula on the bottom. So we've got to use its corresponding x value in order to start that. So that is -4 minus a -3, our x1. Well, what happens if we minus a negative? That really turns it into a positive, right? So let's just simplify this. -2 minus 4 is -6. -4 minus a -3 means -4 plus 3, so -1. Okay, well, it's not acceptable to have answers that are a negative over a negative, so we always want to make sure that we reduce these. And we know a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and so that 6 over 1 is just a positive 6. So the slope of that line that contains those 2 points is a 6. And we're going to do the same thing on this next one. So my first ordered pair is 4, -2. We'll label that one x1, y1. Our next ordered pair is -1, 5. And that's going to be my x2, y2. Now we're just going to fill out the formula again. M is equal to y2, 5, minus y1, which is -2. over x1, which is negative 1, minus x, or did I say x2? Minus x1, which is 4. All right, well, 5 minus a negative 2 is 7. If you need help with that, make sure that you bring your calculators to the test, that you can calculate those correctly using that calculator if you need to. Negative 1 minus 4 is a negative 5. Well, 7 over negative 5, that's not going to reduce, so we are going to have that as our final answer. That's the slope on that one. So let's just talk about some slopes in general. I'm going to just draw some little coordinate systems on here, our x and y axes. Okay. If it is, when we talk about a positive slope, we're always talking about whatever that end behavior is. So whatever is happening on the right side of that line. And so if it's positive, then it's going up like this. That's a positive slope. Right? Would be walking up a hill, so it's positive. So a negative slope, the end behavior is going down. And so it would be like going down a hill. Or driving down a hill. So if it has a 0 slope, that is our horizontal lines. And if you remember from the last video, we talked about the hoys. And so it's a 0 slope horizontal line. And so I know we said H is for horizontal, Y is for Y equals whatever that constant, but now you can also remember it has a 0 slope, 0 for hoy. Undefined slope is a vertical line. That's your vex, if you remember. So vertical line at x is equal to some constant, but it's an undefined slope. So, you know, I don't know what the E can stand for on that. Error, I don't know. It's undefined. So just remember, a lot of times we would do that vertical line test, and so the vertical line's not going to pass the vertical line test, so it's undefined slope. All right, so let's talk about parallel lines. Maybe you remember some things about parallel lines. Well, parallel lines are two lines that have the same slope. So they're going to follow each other the same distance apart all the time. They will never cross because they have the same slope. So we're just going to remember parallel, same slope. Perpendicular lines now are two lines that have opposite reciprocal slopes. And what they're going to look like on a coordinate grid is if I have one line that maybe is going like this, then I'm going to have the other line that's going to cross it just like that, but it has to create a 90-degree angle in order for it to be a perpendicular line. So these two lines have what we call opposite reciprocal slopes. So they have opposite signs. So if one is positive, so if one is positive, then the other one has to be negative. And then if it's reciprocal, that just means we're flipping that fraction. So you're going to flip the fraction. So if we have a slope that's equal to 2/3, its perpendicular slope would be a negative, flip the fraction, 3/2. And so we may need to practice that some, but if we have a slope then that is a negative 1/4, its perpendicular slope, would be then positive, and if we flip that fraction, it's 4/1, which is just 4. So you might, just think about that for a minute with trying to create those perpendicular slopes based off of the original line. But so you have some questions that might be on your homework that say, are these lines parallel, same slope? Are they perpendicular, opposite reciprocal slopes, or are they neither? And if they don't fall into either one of the categories, then they're just going to be neither. So if we were in the classroom, I would have you do a little chant. If I say parallel, you say same slope. If I say perpendicular, you say opposite reciprocal slopes. And, we might do that a few times just so that we remember it. But so parallel lines always thinking same slope. Perpendicular, always think opposite reciprocal slopes. And then neither is neither. All right, well, let's just take this one and let's find out what's the slope of this first one. 4, 2, and 6, 6. Okay, so x1, y1, x2, y2. So m is equal to y2, which is 6, minus y1, which is 2, over x2, which is 6, minus x1, which is 4. So 6 minus 2 is 4, and 6 minus 4 is 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. So that one has a slope of 2. But now let's go see what this line's slope is. So we've got our second line, or our second set of ordered pairs, 0, -2, and 1, 0. So this one will be our x1, y1. This one will be our x2, y2. Okay, using the formula, y2, 0, minus y1, which is -2, over x2, which is 1, minus x1, which is 0. Well, 0 minus a -2 ends up being a positive 2. 1 minus 0 is 1, so that slope is also 2. Okay, well, what happens? We have a slope of 2 and we have a slope of 2. Well, they have the same slope, so therefore they are parallel lines. Okay, we're just going to do the same thing again. First one, -1, 4, and 3, 2. All right, so the slope here is 2 minus 4 over 3 minus that -1. 2 minus 4 is -2. 3 minus a -1 is 4. Reduce that to -1/2. Okay, let's take the second set of ordered pairs. -2, -1, and 2, 7. Figure out what that slope is. So 7 minus -1, 2 minus -2. 7 minus -1 is 8. 2 minus -2 is 4. 8 divided by 4 is positive 2. Well, now we have a slope of -1/2. We have a slope of 2. Well, they're not the same, but are they opposite reciprocals? Yes, one is negative, one is positive, and we've just flipped the fraction. Because remember, any whole number is like it's over 1. So these have opposite reciprocal slopes. So therefore, they are perpendicular lines. Okay. All right, we can do one more. You can turn the video off or pause it and see. And I will just do each one of these. -4 minus -12, 0 minus -4. Just -4 plus 12, so that's 8 over 4, so that is 2. The next slope is -4 minus -5 and 2 minus 0. Well, -4 minus -5 means plus 5, so that's 1. 2 minus 0 is 2. Okay, what are these? Are they opposite? No. Are they reciprocals? Yes, they are, 2 and 1/2. But they're not opposites. So they are not perpendicular. They are not parallel because they do not have the same slopes. Therefore, they are neither. So watch those real carefully, especially with those signs, to make sure that they are not tricking you. But that is how you find slope.